Hello YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of a Sporked review. I am your host Twiggy, and right now we are reading Unelven, Academy of Arcane Arts. As a bit of an overview of the past 4 chapters, we'll do 3. A very angry kid named Seth, who happens to be an unelf. Still not sure how that works. Started going to school at the Academy of Arcane Arts. Met up with Not Hermione and Not Ron. And, Not Hermione had her throat slit open. No, I'm still not over that. And I won't be for a while. So, let's get into Chapter 4. Undeath and Decay. Clever. Before Maggie headed to her next class, she walked back to Professor Ore's classroom. Students were just leaving. Ore sitting at her desk. Ore sitting at her desk is a sentence in itself.
Hello, Professor. Were you able to translate those messages?
The professor opened a drawer and took out Maggie's notebook. Yes, but what I found disturbs me. The professor's glasses slid down her nose. It says, this crest cradles the remnants of Rattata, 1 of 5, but 1 of 4. Do not allow the remains to touch mortal flesh without this crest, lest the squirrel is unsheathed and brought upon the mortal realm. The squirrel? The squirrel. So we're gonna unsheath the squirrel and set it loose upon the mortal realm to run up everybody's pant legs. The professor snapped Maggie's notebook shut. Where did you find this writing? I went to the library and didn't find a single book with a tree on the cover. You must be very good at searching the library very quickly. Because you did this in 1 day, as far as I know. And I imagine that the library at a magical school is gigantic. Maggie started to sweat.
I lied. It wasn't in the library. I found it scribbled in one of my classmates' books.
So she can't even tell the truth in that case. Isn't this supposed to be a teacher that she trusts? The professor handed Maggie back her notebook. I'll research Rattata. He sounds intriguing. I won't keep you. I know you're going on Aeon's crazy quest.
How did you know that?
Aeon came by and told me you might be absent for a few days. A girl as smart as you can handle whatever that crazy bastard has cooked up. Well, actually, apparently not. Considering, her experience in the last chapter.
I have faith in you. He didn't give me the assignment. He gave it to Seth, who invited me to join his party. How did Professor Aeon know I'd be joining him?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you're one of 2 people that he hangs out with? Might be a big hint there. She's supposed to be smart. We haven't seen any evidence that she's intelligent. We've just been told so. You're going with that xenophobe? I'm surprised he has friends. Maggie's lips tightened angrily.
Well, I'll be going now. Thank you for your help, Professor.
Maggie bowed and left quickly. Ore stared after her. No. There's no way. There's no way what? She's intelligent enough to actually figure something out? That she actually, likes Seth? Because that's really the only reason for her to be angry, right? No. Can't be that it's she's just friends with him and cares about him legitimately. No. No, she's angry that the teacher badmouthed him because she's in love with him. Only explanation. She is the only female character in this book anyway, right? At the end of the day, Aeon stood on the steps of the academy facing a crowd of students. He bared his head. Arr. Revealing his gray hair. "Students of the Academy of Arcane Arts," he cried. "You each have a mission, a duty." Yeah, he said duty. "There will be challenges, and you must overcome them." That's kind of what a test is, isn't it? "If you find that the trial is too much, just cast the spell to return back. I have faith in each of you, and in order to survive in this world, you must have faith in yourselves. Don't believe in yourself, believe in me who believes in you. Yours is the wand that will pierce the heavens." "Yes, the council created peace between the races, but evil forces abide. So we're gonna send students to take care of them." The doors swung open, and a man in a rich robe embroidered with runes and the academy crest emerged. The man walked up to Professor Aeon and waved at the crowd. "Hello, Headmaster Keening," said the professor. "Good evening, Professor Aeon," Keening murmured, facing the crowd. "You're sending my students to their deaths, so I guess I should get a good look at them." "No one's going to die during this exercise. I've taken measures." Professor Aeon turned back to the crowd and raised his voice. "Now, stand with your parties and cast the spell at the top of your scrolls, to be teleported to your destinations. I hope you've brought all that you need, and I bid you farewell." The students cheered again. Again? Since when have they been cheering? And one by one each group teleported away. Malachite placed his hand on Seth's shoulder, and Maggie linked her arm with Seth's. See, she likes him. Because that's what female characters are for. The three each nodded to each other, and Seth cast the teleportation spell. "I bet 50 gold eagles that your favorite team is killed or returns with their request unfinished," the Headmaster Keening said smugly. "I have faith in them. Marowit made sure it'll happen." What's that supposed to mean?
It means he rigged it.
Seth, Malachite, and Maggie appeared in a forest. Poof! Forest! The sun had already partially set. Seth took a deep breath and stretched his arms. "Fluffy bunnies!" he exclaimed. "I haven't been in the woods for so long. I missed it." Seth reached into his bag and took out a bundle of kindling. "Let's set up camp here for the night. Go collect some wood for a fire. This will help start it, but it's not enough for a whole night."
"Camp? Here? In the woods?"
Maggie said, looking around unhappily. "Come on, Mag, I'm sure it'll be fun. Besides, look at how late it is," Malachite said, hefting his axe. "You've never been camping? Well, just stick with me and I'll show you how to have fun." What, are they gonna roast marshmallows? They're on a quest. Although, I really wouldn't put it past Malachite for him to have brought marshmallows on a quest. Groaning, Maggie followed Malachite and Seth into the woods to gather fuel. It didn't take long. It was an old strand of trees, and it hadn't rained recently. They soon had plenty of wood to chase away the dark, and Seth built a fire. Malachite leaned over to Maggie and whispered, "Just think about it. You'll be sleeping next to him." Maggie slapped him. "All right, the fire's ready," Seth said, fanning the flames with his hat. Malachite sat down and began taking off his armor. Maggie picked a spot halfway between him and Seth, and settled in to shuffle through her pags, with a P, and make notes in her book. "Do either of you know any stories?" Malachite asked. Maggie at Seth.
Maybe you could tell us about your past? It's just the three of us. I'm sure there's no harm in opening up.
Because that's how you get someone who's closed off to open up. Just ask them to open up. Simple as that. Seth fidgeted with his long gloves. "No," he said. "My past isn't one I'm willing to share." "At least tell us how you got that scar and why you wear that eye patch all the time," Malachite said. Seth felt the length of his scar and tried to remember. "It was an accident," Seth said, poking the fire with a loose branch. "Where I'm from, you have to pass a test to be accepted as a man. Part of my test was to kill a captured troll. I found where the troll was being held, but the Blood Knights who were to oversee my test had been slaughtered." Maggie's eyes widened. Sitting atop the cage was a Thawline, a dry elf. So the dry elf is part of the Thawline, which is from the continent of Sweat. "He told me he would destroy all Midgard, starting with me. He unleashed the troll and changed it. It became a dire troll, out of my league. The troll's claw slashed my face and eye. I'm now completely blind in it." Seth pointed towards the blue eye, the eye he normally hid beneath his patch. "Then something happened." "What happened? Don't leave us hanging," Malachite said. When Seth didn't speak, Maggie tried to change the subject.
"It's really late, so how about we try to get some sleep?"
She wanted to know more, but she didn't want to push too hard. "You're the one who asked." And instead of just changing the subject, how about, acknowledge the fact that Seth doesn't want to talk about it? Obviously Seth isn't comfortable continuing the story, so how about we just get some sleep instead? Not that hard. "Yeah, true. I hope you brought something to sleep in, because I'm not sharing." Malachite reached into his pack and pulled out his bedroll.
"I didn't know we were going to be sleeping on the ground, so I didn't bring anything," Maggie said.
Seth handed her his red cloak. "It's not much, but it's warm and very comfortable to sleep in." Maggie took it from him, and their hands touched for a moment. "Aww."
"Thank you, Seth."
He turned away from her and lay down on the ground. "Don't dwell on it too much. If it'll stop your complaining, I don't mind." Soon the three were asleep. They slept through the night, warm by the fire. In the morning, the sun rose over the horizon, and Seth woke and stretched. The fire had died down in the night to smoldering embers. Seth got up, brushed the dirt off his pants and shirt, and walked into the clearing, taking his staff with him. So now he's calling it a staff. Not a stave. He activated his oral vision and stared into the distance, trying to pinpoint their location. So you can tell location from auras? How does that work? There was a magical feeling in the air. Thought, not like the magic in Midgard. Thought. No, this was much darker. At the edge of the forest, Seth plucked a leaf from a tree. It crumpled to dust as soon as it left the branch. Seth tightened his grip on his staff. "I don't have a good feeling about this," Seth said. "This magicka feels dark, but it's not." Feels dark, but it's not. It's not demonic, either. His elongated ears twitched at a loud yawn behind him. Malachite had awoken. "Guten Morgen, Malachite." "Yeah, howdy to you too. Who would have thought sleeping in metal pants wasn't a great idea?" Malachite scratched his head. "What were you doing? Talking with nature?" "You could say that," Seth rolled his eyes. "We need to go east. I feel magicka radiating from there." "Good thing we came with the living compass." "When you travel as much as I have, you learn to use as many of your skills as possible." Seth turned towards the slumbering Maggie, still wrapped in his cloak, and nudged her with his staff. "Wake up." Maggie rubbed her head and stretched her arms.
"Good morning, you two," she said sleepily.
She rolled around for a minute, then sat up.
"I guess it's time."
She got up and handed Seth back his cloak.
"Thanks a bunch, Seth."
He brushed the dirt off, then swung it over his shoulders. "Like I said, don't dwell on it." Seth pointed east. "That's where we need to go. I'm not claiming leadership, but I'd really like it if you guys listened to me if I said something. I don't want to have to explain to the school what happened to you."
"What do you think we're going to fight?"
Maggie inquired as they strolled along a while later. "I hope a dragon!" Malachite exclaimed, raising his axe. "I hope not. Have you ever fought a dragon?" Seth asked, turning to look at Malachite. "No." "Then shut up." Seth continued walking. "It's probably just a cave of imps, or maybe goblins if we're lucky." The further the three went into the forest, the more of the greenery faded. The grass beneath their feet became dry, stale dirt. Eventually, they came to what appeared to be an old human-made fort. Architecture and state of decay of the building hinted that it had been built early in the Second Era. "Seems abandoned," Seth said. "Let's head in." Before Seth could take a step, Malachite grabbed his shoulder. "What is it?" "Shh," Malachite hissed. His eyes darted back and forth. "Do you hear that?" How did Malachite, a human with, human ears, hear something that Seth, an elf, didn't? That was a strange creaking noise and a raspy breath. Seth blinked his blue eye again and looked around. He didn't sense any auras. "Look out!" Maggie shouted. A walking skeleton leapt for Malachite, a rusty iron axe in his bony grasp. Malachite blocked its blow with his own axe, ripped the monster's arm loose, and bashed it in the skeleton's head. "Going to beat you with your own arm! Ha ha ha!" The skeleton quivered and teetered for a moment, then collapsed in on itself and faded into a dark purple smoke. So we are now in the world of video games. It's dead. Poof! It just disappears. "What the heck? Undead?" Malachite said, stunned. "I couldn't feel their presence," Seth said, no less shaken. "It's like they weren't truly here." A thought flashed through Seth's mind. It was summoned.
"What do you mean, Seth?"
Maggie asked. How is this girl supposed to be intelligent when she asks all the stupid questions? Shouldn't it be Malachite asking this stuff? You would think that with all of the reading and research and deciphering that she does, she would have known what a summoning is. Or at least had an idea of what a summoned creature is. Why is this character so stupid? Groaning, Manny